school nurses. And good morning to our live stream audience. Welcome to Denver. Is this not beautiful? And the 51st annual conference of the National Association of School Nurses. Like our voice said, I'm Fekaris. I'm your president for another day or two, which is a hint. I would like to invite you all to make sure you attend the annual meeting. At the annual meeting, you'll get to hear the vision and guidance of our new incoming president, so I would encourage you all to come to that. I'm honored for this opportunity to open conference, and I'd like to just take a minute to share a few thoughts with you of things I've learned during my journey as your president. I recognize the knowledge, expertise, expectation, and power that's in this room, and for those sharing with us on the cloud. School nurses are one of the most powerful forces I know, because through you, you can change the future. Because through you, you touch the lives of almost every child in this nation and many children overseas. I was talking to a friend and school nurse colleague who's recently moved to Hawaii, Margot, I think she's here, and she was sharing with me her observation. And she was saying that school nurses and school nurse leaders need to really recognize the power that the autonomy of our nursing license gives us. And she's right. By virtue of our nursing license and certifications, practicing under our scope and standards of practice, we really do work autonomously in the school setting. And that allows us the opportunity to use our nursing knowledge and expertise to touch lives. When you teach a child how to recognize their asthma triggers, when and how to properly use their rescue inhaler, the importance of their maintenance management regime, you've changed a life. This child will have fewer absences from school, so they'll have more seat time, more time to learn. They'll have fewer and less severe exacerbations, fewer emergency room visits. As an adult, because of that increased seat time, they'll have increased job opportunities. They'll have less missed work time in their job, and they'll have an increased life expectancy. You've changed a life. You've changed the future. That's the power that is in this room. And that's just one example. You all have stories about how you've influenced the life of a child and changed the direction and helped a family. Many here have actually saved lives. Dawn, a school nurse from Rhode Island, was simply responding to an emergency call to the gym. When she got there, she thought the student had just fainted. But when she got to him and rolled him over, she recognized she had a 15-year-old boy in full cardiac arrest. Her knowledge and expertise saved his life, a life that he can now live to his fullest potential. Or Kathy from Georgia, who properly applied a tourniquet after a freak playground accident. According to the trauma team, the tourniquet made the difference in that the child keeping her arm and her life. So now there's a 4th grade girl whose life didn't dramatically change because of the presence and the power of that school nurse. And there are many more heroes in this room. Many of you have saved lives and touched lives every day. Now, the other thing I learned in my journey, school nurses do a lot of things. We do a lot of actions. We're very transactional in our job when we meet with parents and students and interact with our staff. And the lesson I've learned is the important thing about our transactions is when can we change our transactions into transformation? When we accept the autonomy of our license, when we acknowledge our expertise and embrace our power, our transactions can transform. Now, what do I mean by that? Transformative school nurse practice. Well, the example earlier, teaching the student about asthma. If you are a transactional school nurse, you will give them their rescue inhaler as ordered before PE or before recess. If you're a transformational school nurse, you will teach them their triggers. You will teach them how to properly use their inhaler, and so on. And we can do that because we have the luxury of time with our children, usually for many years. We also have a challenge. And the challenge was pointed out to be by another colleague and school nurse friend from Oregon, Jamie, and I think Jamie's here too. Jamie's wife is a school administrator. And so he shared with me what she said. And she said that one of the challenges we have working in schools, when we talk to adults, parents, community members, legislators, every single one of them thinks they know all they need to know about school because they all went to school. Virtually every adult we'll interact with went to school at some point. And really, when you think of it, school hasn't changed that much. The buildings look the same, the infrastructure's the same, there's a teacher, there's the principal and the teacher in the classrooms. So how do we get past this barrier? So that's kind of what I've been thinking about a lot. Oftentimes those adults also think they know the role of the school nurse because they remember the school nurse. Yeah, she was the lady who put the Band-Aid on my knee. Or she was the one that gave the pill to my friend at lunchtime, right? So we're working with people that think they know everything about what we're doing. So how can we transform that? How can we change that thinking? And I think we can add just a simple phrase to every interaction we have with new people, and sometimes with the same people a couple times. And that phrase is, we do school differently now than when you and I attended school. So let me say it again. We do school differently now than when you and I attended school. So the we do differently gets them thinking, oh yeah, maybe school has changed. The when you and I attended school puts us on the same plane. It's beginning to develop that team relationship. It's telling them that we have a shared experience, and our shared experience can bring us together. Transformational school nursing, building that relationship, but building it in a way that they understand things are different in our role as a school nurse. Here's another example. When you speak to a healthcare provider to clarify medication orders or treatment orders, before you say thank you and hang up, add a sentence or two. And that sentence or two I'm thinking of is, thank you because I think this treatment or this medication will really positively impact this student in their schooling. And I'm the school nurse in that building. I'm the one that's going to be giving that medication or that treatment. So I will keep you informed of how this treatment is doing. you've now formed a partnership with that healthcare provider, or have invited that partnership with that healthcare provider. Or in Oregon, as I would be saying, you know, I cover 4 different buildings, so I'm not the one who's going to be giving this medication or doing this treatment. It's the secretary. But I'll make sure the secretary's trained, and I'll make sure they understand why we're doing this and the potential side effects. Now, what that brief interaction, that's what, maybe 15 seconds, 20 seconds that we've added to the end of that phone call, that action, what it's done is it's planted a seed in the mind of that healthcare provider. One, oh, I'm really glad there's a school nurse in my child's building or in my grandchild's building. Or it's, really? I thought there were school nurses in every building. Well, I had a school nurse when I was growing up. What do you mean there's not a school nurse in the building giving this? What do you mean it's a secretary, right? So just by saying that simple phrase, we've started a ripple. We've started to plant a seed in somebody else's head, an ally, a partner with us that can help begin to recognize our practice. So to me, these are just a few simple steps in how we can transform our practice of school nursing and really make a change in the future. We can, as school nurses, and we will transform the lives of students and family and the staff that we work with. We will transform our school communities, and that's what we're called to do, so that all of our students are healthy, safe, and ready to learn. Because after all, that's our job, isn't it? So today, I'd like you to consider this as the first day of your transformation. As we begin conference together, as we learn from our speakers, as we network with one another, together, let's climb this peak. Thank you.